And so I'm Claire from Dorset Music Hub. I'm going to give you a whistle-stop tour through a case study and an overview of our project, but we will focus on one young participant and a few lessons and reflections along the way. So Inclusive Dorset was all about strategic development, trying new things, working differently, really testing in a sort of action research approach to see what we could change and how it could work for us. As I say, music mentoring was one of those key strands. And like I say, we learned quite a lot about what's possible. So let's think about the participant. A little overview from one of the professionals working with them there, saying that this young person would often have panic attacks whenever his parents left him alone in the house, alongside the other sort of diagnoses and mental health symptoms that they were demonstrating. But what became very clear is another way to describe this young person was by what they were good at and what they were interested in. And you can see that that's a very different perception. It was very, very clear to us that we were going to be able to make some progress with this young person because of all the musical activity and passion they had in their lives and a sort of really great insight into what they wanted to do. Now, working with appropriate practitioners in these contexts is really crucial. So we were incredibly lucky that we were able to recruit a great small team of freelancers. We were looking for music leaders with emotional sensitivity, musical versatility, very open-minded and willing to look at the work that they're doing in a very different way, perhaps in a more progressive way, and certainly less traditional. On to the next one. Let me move this along. That one, down. I'm not sure I'm plugged in. Right. Sorry, guys. There it is. I thought my buttons were working. Brill. So it was quite important to think about the outcomes the young person was looking for. These are the young person's words. So clearly, that's fine. Clearly, they were quite insightful about what they wanted to do and what their ambitions were. And so it was going to make it quite easy, hopefully, to show some progress. There we go. It feels important to mention the science part, seeing as we're talking about health outcomes. So Dr. Phil Mullen and Simon Glenister, two experts, two partners that we brought in. No time to go into detail of their work. I recommend checking them out. They have worked both together and separately around the work of self-determination theory in music education. Very simple outline here. As I say, I really recommend looking up the work of Simon Glenister and Noise Solution, as they have won a number of national awards in the past few years for the innovative approach which they take. They can evidence meaningfully the impact that this kind of work is having on young people's health outcomes. And they've been able to quantify and measure the impact, the better health, the money that they're saving the NHS system by getting in early, preventing some situations from escalating, and by preventing far more intensive and expensive interventions. There it is, to the practice itself. I'll press all my buttons at once. So briefly, back in summer 2022, when they've been working together for about 6 or 9 months, these were some of the reflections of the leader and the participant. I love the fact that the music leader was really open, that the learning journey was going both ways. As a music leader, he was learning a great deal by working with young people in this way. He was understanding more about contemporary music culture and what this means on the ground. And I love the musical learning that the young person's showing. He didn't just learn about making some rhythms. He said he was coming up with different ways of thinking about rhythm. And we can reflect on that later, but that's a very key distinction that suggests some high-level musical learning going on as well. And then cut to a year later in summer 2023, the leader's reflecting on the fact that socially some great things have happened. He's been able to bring in some other musicians to work with this young person, and that the participant was responding very positively, sharing their baking wares and everything else, sharing more of themselves as well as their music. And again, I love the fact that from the participant, we're hearing more about aspiration, ambition, motivation. It's a far more well-rounded picture of the narrative of this individual young person, rather than just the list of symptoms and difficulties that we saw at the beginning. And so thinking about barriers, if I can flip my slides along. Oh, there we go. Briefly, I think, yes, we talked a lot about systems, so I won't dwell on that, but I think if any of you were thinking about Paul Dempsey's presentation on Pathfinder and just had a big scrunchy, confused face, that's completely acceptable, but he's describing the systems within which all of our young people and our families that need extra help and support, those are the confusing systems they're working within. A huge amount of effort is going on through this programme to integrate education, health, social care, other community sectors. And I think we've already identified today that this is one of the key challenges. I like to think we as a team could be one of these translators, but this is what we need to understand. How do we all speak the same language and understand where everyone's coming from? There is a bit of a perception problem, I think. We know as Dorset Music Service, many people might dismiss our emails or phone calls because they still think that this is all about flute lessons and orchestras and doing grade exams. So there is still this idea that some people, not many, but there are still out there that think this is a nice to have, this is a bit of a DOS, etc., whereas we know that this could actually be the crucial activity and support that can make a massive difference for some young people. And so, yeah, I was trying to think what would help greater capacity to deliver at scale, really being able to have strong knowledge and understanding in the right place to enable all these things to happen. And of course, just more capacity to support that. We all need this to be funded and understood so that we can hopefully all work differently. And again, briefly, I wanted to share a really brief musical outcome because I just felt excited about it. Brace yourself. This is in the genre of heavy metal / death metal / something loud. If I just press play, so I'm not going to be sure how to do it. Sorry, guys. Right, if I just press play. And I'll stop that. You got the gist. That's really all I wanted to show. I think what I realise is that I can see where the health out benefits have come from. I can see where the educational learning has happened. And with that little flavour of this young person's music, to take you back to the fact that they had panic attacks whenever they were left alone when their parents went away. That piece of music is called Home Alone. With the introduction of creative health into my life, I feel like these three massive agencies are more relevant. I already deal a lot with the Arts Council and DFE. And then so we've got our cultural education, of which music education is part. We've got all the massive community partnerships, of which many of us are a part of, and they serve different agendas. And we have a creative health agenda, of course. And I kind of start to see it fitting together like this, where we have a community of partners that are interested in cultural education. Dorset Music Hub, and that 1' is carrying a lot of weight with the fact that we're going to be teaming up with Somerset over the next 12 months. And also the obviously Integrated Care Board and the Integrated Care System. It feels like we've already got some infrastructure that can serve these agendas very well. But I really go back to the early days of music education hubs when partnership working was a bold and new exciting idea. And a really bright young man actually said, all these music organisations should be porous. And that was the word he used. And I keep coming back to that. Sorry, I'm dry mouth now. How can we get to a place where not only that children and young people are actually at the centre of all of these systems, and that's certainly the language that we use within the local authority, they are absolutely the heart of what we do, and we should work outwards from there. But how can we actually be sort of more permeable? And how can we actually have information and systems and work and practitioners genuinely moving through these membranes? And, we love a scientific metaphor. There's ecosystems, there's all the rest of it. But I think this is a really helpful point. It's not just about understanding each other. It's that things need to be able to move and connect across these membranes. We need to be semi-permeable in some way. And an outcome of that is that each of those things are changed as a result. We're willing to take on something new and give something away of ours. And we're all very different at the end of it. And I think I'm going to have to put my LinkedIn profile that I'm good at conceptual thinking, because I just think, oh no, this made sense to me when I drew it like this. I think this is what we're working towards. And like I say, when it comes to young people, it's really important to remember that the whole school and education system are key partners in this, and perhaps already have quite strong links with the NHS. So if we can try and join these dots even more, that would be great. So that was my provocation of how can all these existing systems just speak and communicate together more and be porous. And with that, I'll leave it there. Thank you very much.